Yes, people, we are back live for Albert J TV and Holly's Hotspurs. Match review time. England 2, Colombia 1. Semi-finals, here we come. But before we get into it, people, let's smash the intro. And there you have it, people. England. Come on, lionesses. Come on. People, do the obligatories on Albert JTV and Holly's Hotspurs. As I like to reiterate, this is going live on both channels. So smash the like on Albert JTV and Holly's Hotspurs. And even more so, people, we have an audio version that will go out a little bit later when I get in from doing 100 million different things, but it's fine. So, yeah, smash the like button already. Holly, my amazing co-host, man. Firstly, I do love you to pieces, and I'll put that on record publicly and personally, and the rest of it. Yeah, I finally caught up with the game. It's been a long couple of days for me, very long couple of days. But how you keeping?
Yeah, I'm all right. I'm not as busy as you, Frank, because I don't know how you managed to do it. Like a busy bee here, there, everywhere. No, good on to you, Albert. But yeah, no, I'm good. Obviously, we're through to the semi-final, and I'm ready to crack on with it and dissect everything that went on.
Good. Now, I must quickly say this before we start. I want to say a massive thank you, Holly, to you, and for a lot of people for a surreal experience going on Sky Sports News on Wednesday. It was it was something else. My phone absolutely flew off the roof on that Wednesday. It wasn't a best kept secret. It's just I found out late Monday afternoon that I would be going on the Wednesday. It was an unbelievable experience waiting in that green room when that music's going and you're about to go live. Of course, I was nervous. But listen, it's what you do. This, Holly, we do this YouTube content. It's a prep. It's like a job interview. It's for that moment to go live and to actually deliver. And hopefully, I've done a little bit of justice. So, yeah, unbelievable experience. So, thank you to everybody for your amazing messages. It's been incredible. But let's get into the proper show, people. Holly, can you introduce our amazing guest, please?
Yes, so once again, join us again. We have Jack, the chief women's football reporter for Mirror Football. So, Jack, welcome in, my friend. How are you?
Thank you both, guys. Nice to see you again. I'm sorry that I'm not completing the hat trick of fantastic England shirts on display, which I feel quite bad about. But yeah, no, I'm good, thanks, mate. And yeah, how are you?
Yeah, not bad. Like I say, it's great to have you back on again and give you your insights, obviously being down there on the camp with England. So really looking forward to it.
No, good stuff. Yeah. Go on. Sorry, Jack.
I was just going to say, no, it's been like, it feels like it's been a mad few weeks even since I last saw you both. Like so much has happened in that time, and yeah, I'm not even sure what day it is, to be honest. But keep trucking on. I know we're at the semi-final stage. So that's good enough for now.
Yeah, that's very well said, Jack. It's very well said. Yeah, England's still in the tournament. So yeah, I finally, like I said before we brought you in, Jack, I finally managed to catch up and watch the game, rewatch it back. Obviously a tough encounter in the last round against my other native country in Nigeria, but sort of, Jack, what's your thoughts? One team change. I think Ella Toon came in yesterday. What was your sort of thoughts coming into the Colombia game off the back of the Nigeria win?
Yeah, to be honest, I wasn't, from an England point of view, I wasn't particularly confident. I thought they really struggled against Nigeria. They played well basically in sort of about an hour of the 4 games overall before Colombia. Yeah. They played quite well for an hour against China. That was it. So I wasn't particularly confident. I didn't think the team was in great form. But the one thing they have shown throughout this tournament is resilience and sort of a never say die spirit. Plus a really solid defense. So I was anticipating, particularly after the quarterfinal earlier in the day between Australia and France, I was anticipating that we might go the distance again, and I might be at the stadium for another sort of mega 6-hour shift. It didn't quite go that way last night. Thankfully, England managed to get the business done inside 90 minutes. And yeah, probably, I think I wouldn't say it was it wasn't England at their absolute best, but I was happy to see Serena Wiegman stick with the three at the back system, which I think has worked quite well. And they kept their composure. They passed the ball probably better than they've done in any other game so far this tournament. So yeah, it was all pretty positive stuff, generally speaking. And I think with tournament football, it's easy to forget, but as long as you're hitting your stride towards the end, semi-finals, final, the rest of it doesn't really matter, does it? It's like the rest of it gets forgotten very quickly.
No, what's a Jack? Of course, coming back to that again, Jack. In terms of you talk about England, it seemed a bit more of a little bit more control than in the Nigeria game, because I just think they physically got bullied quite for 120 minutes, to be honest with you, even before they went down to 10. But it's just better control. I just thought they were quite physical, Colombia, because I know obviously when after the Irish team, actually the war game behind closed doors, which they had it called off. There were a couple of tackles in there. So I don't know how they got away with yellow cards. And I think the tackle on Daly and Lauren Hemp, but I thought for England sort of come back to sort of their pattern of play, tempo. What do you think they did better this time around yesterday, sort of in that first 20 minutes against Colombia, than they did probably all the games you've seen, or maybe the Nigeria game?
Oh, well, definitely, yeah, mate. Compared to the Nigeria game, it was night and day.
Yeah.
The start in particular, the first 20 minutes, because there was a lot of pressure on them for a start. Colombia were the lowest ranked team, so it would have been a shock. It would have been a shock to go out to Nigeria as well, but I think England were a little bit more. Not respectful is the wrong word, but they were more composed on the ball. They weren't trying to rush things against Colombia last night. The first 20 minutes, they were very, at the back three, were making sure, let's keep this ball, let's not lose it unnecessarily. I think against Nigeria, there was too much just trying to play it quickly, trying to move it through to the Lucy Bronze and Rachel Daly in the wing back slots, just trying to push the ball forward too quickly, and it wasn't coming off a lot of the time. Whereas last night, they were slower and a little more methodical, but it worked. It kind of took the sting out of the game. I think Colombia still were very dangerous going forward. They got a couple of really talented players who sort of, they look like they could, they almost don't know what they're going to do with the ball. So it's very hard to defend against, like if your opponent doesn't know what they're going to do with the ball, which I think was a little bit of how they scored. But anyway, I think England kept the ball a lot better. They didn't panic when they couldn't find Kira Walsh, which I think has also been the case in a couple of the other games at this tournament. And just brought more a composure and a patience that I've not seen in the other four games really so far. So it was a much improved start, particularly the first half, I thought, from England.
No, fair play, Jack. Before I come to Holly quickly, actually. Obviously, I was at work, as you know, and you give me the little messages to give me a bit of an update. You did give me some weird updates during the games. I sometimes don't know what you're talking about, if I'm being honest. But
Standard.
So obviously, so how was you feeling sort of towards the start of the game about playing?
I think, like kind of Jack's alluded to, I thought it was going to be still physical, but I thought that after competing against Nigeria, we'd probably go with a better game plan, in a sense that be more confident on the ball and slow things down. Like I said, everything didn't necessarily have to go through Kira Walsh yesterday, which was quite nice. And I noticed like the spread of play as well. We were trying to do that diag ball, which actually worked really well in our favour, trying to find gaps in behind. So yeah, before the game started, obviously I was always going to be nervous. It's tournament football. But I felt a bit more composed, in the sense that let's learn from our mistakes. So I feel like everything throughout this tournament, we're always building on something. I think, who was it? I think it was Russo who said in a press conference about we're always looking to improve. And I think that's something that we've seen throughout the whole tournament, in terms of we go into a game, something doesn't quite work, so next game we improve that. We're always building on it. So yeah, I think it was a good game overall. And like I said, it was nice that we're through to that semi-final.
Yes, Holly, come in with your extravaganza of a question for Jack.
So Jack, because obviously you mentioned there were some players that obviously were different kind of breed for Colombia, and I think one of those is obviously Linda Casada. I mean, there's been so much talk about her, but actually seeing her against an England side, what did you kind of make of her performance, kind of on the flip side of England?
Yeah, she's, I mean, 18 years old. It's just something else seeing it's genuinely like a joy to watch someone player with that sort of confidence and belief at that age. I'm not one who obsesses all the time about players' ages or, you know, what you should have done in the game by this point. But I just think for her to, teenager, obviously being what she's been through over the past few years, and she just, you could tell, like, sort of 5-10 minutes into the game, I think she had the first sort of run at Lucy Bronze. And this is like, you know, obviously Lucy Bronze playing wing back, but she's one of the best fullbacks in the world. And Caicedo just absolutely, you know, burned her for pace. Always able as well. I always think with a winger, if you're able to either just hit the accelerator and go, or cut inside comfortably and either shoot or lay on a pass, that's it's quite hard to defend against. You know, we see it all the time, don't we, with wingers that can go either way, and she definitely is one of those. And also isn't like happy with just staying out wide and waiting for the ball to come to her. She'll go and find it from you know, her teammates, who I have to say they all sort of linked up quite well, I thought, and brought the best out of each other forward wise. She was a little bit more quiet in the second half, I thought, Holly, just slightly, but and then I think sort of like Uzme, who was the other sort of big threat, came into the game a bit more. But yeah, she is one hell of a talent and has had an incredible tournament. And like, I just think now she's 18. Theoretically, she could play 4 or 5 World Cups, and I hope to see her back because she she deserves to be playing in a team that are going to get to the latter stages and play in these big games. And yeah, it's for a little while that they had England. I wouldn't say, you know, they didn't have enough of the ball to sort of make it a constant worry, but there was always that chance, that danger. You know what it's like when there's a transition and your team's on countered against you. They'd always be looking for Caicedo first ball every time. And I can see why after last night. Yeah, she was very impressive.
It was just the thing, whenever she like got the ball, I was so worried because I was like, she can literally, like you said, burn anyone for pace. And it was just like, she just stood out so much. But obviously there was another player as well, which was Santos, who obviously scored the goal. What do you kind of make of that, Jack? Because I don't know whether it was a cross or whether it was a shot, but it just kind of caught Mary off guard, didn't it?
I mean, if Albert's saying it's a cross, maybe you'll have to do the decisive, Holly, because I thought it was. I'm always willing to go with the player meant it. I suppose that's like my default would be they've meant to do that. They're professional footballers. It's very rare that they're just doing something out of luck, you know, or hope. But then I suppose the counterpoint to that is she did seem very surprised when the goal went in. When the ball hit the net, she looked kind of almost as shocked as we were in the press box and around the crowd. So yeah, it was. I thought it was a brilliant bit of play. She was probably, arguably, Colombia's man of the match. I thought her, or player of the match, I say, sorry, her or Caicedo. And yeah, she constantly gave England problems every time she got on the ball. Earps obviously could do a little bit better with that goal. I think just positionally, she could be in a better position from the off. But you know, she's saved England enough times at this tournament, so they were due sort of getting her out of trouble for once, I think.
No, definitely, you make some great points. And in terms of Mary, Albert, I'll come to you because we always praise Mary. And I think that was the thing. I think because we weren't too unsure of whether it was a shot or a cross, it was kind of like, do you give Mary a bit of benefit of the doubt that she was gearing up, ready for the ball to come across her rather than over the top of her?
Oh, that was definitely a cross. I don't care what anyone tells me. I still think I think Seb Hutchinson made the point during the commentary saying about Ronaldinho in 2002. That was a cross as well. That was definitely a cross. So yeah, it was just their position. It's you know, Mary Earps is a top goalkeeper, you know, so she doesn't make too many mistakes, and you know, I'd call her the safe hands, isn't it? But it happens. It happens with goalkeepers. You know, you're out of position, just fractionally or a little bit, and you get undone. And that's you're not having me. That was definitely not a shot. No, there's no chance. She can say it was, but it wasn't. But no, listen, Mary Earps has been very good this tournament. Actually, I think she's picked up 2 Visa Player of the Matches awards in this tournament. So I'm sure she'll put that to the back of her mind, and she made some good standard stops, I would say, that she would normally make during the course of the match. But yeah, listen, you know how much I love Mary Earps, so she can't do no wrong in my eyes as far as I'm concerned. But no, fair play for asking me. So Jack, coming back to you, sort of obviously England conceded the goal, but I think the key thing was how quickly they got back into it. And yes, it was a little bit fortuitously, but I think watching Colombia properly for my first time in the World Cup is I thought defensively they gave England a bit of a helping hand, man. To be honest with you, I thought it was a little bit vulnerable at the back, Colombia, and I think that obviously came from the first goal from Lauren Hemp.
Yeah, no, completely. I can't disagree, mate. I think I'd only seen Colombia in full because of the way the kickoff times have worked here and sort of working on the England games. I'd only seen them one game before last night, and that was the game they won against Germany. Where obviously, I think they were playing at sort of the maximum of their potential, if you like. But they're probably. I left the stadium thinking that they're only just one good defender or one great defender away from being a really top team. Because it was just they couldn't defend sort of the general territory and pressure that England had. They were you always felt a goal was coming for England, I think, at some point last night. And that's, I mean, equally, if England go in 1-0 down at half time, who knows? It's a different game, isn't it? It's certainly a different team talk. And you're right, they completely gave England a helping hand with the goal. I mean, I think Perez, she would admit it's a goalkeeping rick, isn't it? Basically, she should hold on to that. But like you said, I thought as well, England, they sort of made their own look by the fact that they moved the ball a little bit quicker. You could just see them all after Colombia scored. They were like, right, we need to up this now. Big 4 or 5 minutes, whatever was left in the half. Kira Walsh gets on the ball and looks for that diagonal that we talked about, which is so effective. The wing backs coming in at the back post, and Lucy Bronze and Russo kind of kept the pressure on. And so sometimes you make your own luck. It's an error, but I felt like England would sort of due a slice of fortune, like you mentioned earlier. A couple of challenges could have at least been, they should have probably been bookings. Really, there were certainly fouls that Colombia got away with. I don't think anything crossed the line, but it was, you got that sense in the stadium that there's not really a lot. England not really getting a lot of fortune here, like particularly when that goal goes in. We're sort of sat there thinking, it's going to be one of those nights. So they were due a bit of, I think they were due a bit of fortune, and Perez will be disappointed, but that she gave it to them, and thankfully England were able to kick on in the second half.
Yeah, no, you mentioned a good point, Jack, because I thought England started the game well. I thought there's a 10-minute period before Colombia scored where they actually were quite dominant, and then obviously they got the goal. Like I said, England get the goal back quickly, or before halftime, should I say? And it's a different team talk at halftime. I sort of the first half. I thought they needed their midfield to get on the ball a little bit more. I thought it's sort of in the back three within the Carter, Millie Bright, and my queen Alex Greenwood. They just needed to be a little bit more patient, because I thought Colombia allowed them to have it in England's half. But if Alex Greenwood tried to go anywhere near past the halfway line, they just completely shut it down. But like I said, getting back to 1-1, that was key for England. But so, Jack, come back to you quickly. I just want to get your thoughts on. I actually think she's had a brilliant tournament. Obviously, she plays in the back two mainly with Millie Bright at club level. But how impressed have you been with Jess Carter? Not just yesterday, throughout the tournament, particularly playing in the back three.
I'm massively impressed with her. I think she's been probably one of the most solid, dependable options Serena Wiegman has been able to call on since the turn of the year, really, throughout 2023 and leading up to the tournament. Yeah. She does play in, often she will play in a back three at Chelsea when Emma Hayes switches it and decides to shift formation. She'll slot into that role, because she could, and if Emma Hayes trusts you in that position, then you're probably doing something right. And she's another one who's sort of a bit like Alex Greenwood, who you mentioned as well. She's been pushed around a little bit in this team throughout the tournament, because obviously the first game she was placed at centre half as just a standard back four against Haiti, mainly for a pace and sort of recovery positions, and then since then she's then missed a game and then came back in this back three, and now I think she's been really solid. She's not. I think also teams are realising that out of the three central defenders when England play this system, she's probably the weakest on the ball. Which is no slight on her, because Millie Bright can ping it left and right 50 yards. Alex Greenwood's, I think, the best ball playing centre half in the league.
Brilliant.
So it's no slight on Jess Carter. Yeah, she's been outstanding as well. But I think that's the only thing, is when teams are now letting her have the ball a little bit, and that's when it slows up a little bit, because she doesn't have the passing range of the other two. So England, perhaps, I don't know whether Australia are going to look to do a similar thing in the next round. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, I've been really impressed with her, mate. I think she's a solid performer. She's exactly the type of player you want to have in and around the squad. Someone who can be on the bench, come off the bench, and shore up your defence when you're holding on to a lead. And or she can just come in to the team in a variety of positions and do a really solid job. Yeah, I think she's been outstanding, and last night was a best game so far.
Yeah, no, fair play, Jack. No, fair point. No, she's been excellent in this tournament. Obviously, before I come to Holly, talk a little mention about Alex Greenwood. Just a little mention about Alex Greenwood. If this woman is not in, even before this semi-final, I'm going to put it out there. If she's not in the team of the tournament, there has to be something completely wrong with the voting system, or whoever's picking it, because she has been immaculate, absolutely brilliant. She doesn't get exposed. She's in the right positional sense. I think England actually needs to take advantage of her a bit more and just try and get her past the halfway line, or get Lucy Bronze tuck in for 2 or 3 minutes, because what she'll do is she'll bring teams out of position and free up other spaces for England to get in behind, because she's just excellent on the ball. Short passing, long range passing. Have I said enough about Alex Greenwood? Yes, I have. So we'll come to Holly. Sorry.
Actually, I was going to carry on that Alex Greenwood
Go
trade.
on.
Because I think there's an instance, I think it was towards the end of the game, when a ball was played to Kira Walsh, and I think no one obviously knew that there was someone behind there, and Kira Walsh got intercepted. And then I think it was Millie Bright that came across, and then there was Alex Greenwood that cleared it up. So Jack, like Albert said, you can always rely on Alex Greenwood just to tidy things up when we need her to as well.
Completely, totally, mate. You can. She's another one who's like, and how dependable has she been? This is a player who didn't even play at the Euros last year, or she did play, but she came off the bench. She didn't start games. She started every game out here. I think that speaks volumes about the season she's had as well. There's also there's the incident you've just mentioned there, and there was also a point in the first half where England were under quite a bit of pressure. I can't remember if it was Uzme or someone was like trying to dribble infield. Greenwood not only wins the ball back, but then has the composure to sort of dribble out of the box herself and bring it down towards the touchline in a sort of safe area, not to lose it, rather than just hoof it up at a time when England were under the cosh a little bit. I just think she's the only defender in this squad who's sort of is capable of that, really. And yeah, she made a massive tackle near the end, which I think was, there weren't too many scary moments towards the end of the game, but that was a big one. And again, she stepped up for a team. Like Mary Earp celebrated like we'd scored a goal. It was like, it felt like a massive moment. And I mean, I'm with you, Albert, in the sense that I think she has to be in the team of the tournament, unless something catastrophic happens on Wednesday, which I don't want to touch wood, doesn't happen. But yeah, she's up to this point. She's been, for me, England's best player, and definitely 100% should be in contention for that. Even you know what I mean. This is why I don't like individual awards as much, because I bet player of the tournament naturally always goes to your attacking players, your goal scorers. I get why that is, but if every position was judged equally, she's got to be on the shortlist for that as well, I'd say, at this point.
I think that's the thing. I think because she plays obviously in the back three or as a wing back, sorry, it kind of shows that she's probably not going to be highlighted as much, because like you said, she's not the one scoring the goals, but she does make a massive difference. Obviously another player I want to talk about is Hemp, because I think yesterday Hemp played an amazing game. I mean, there was times where she'd hold on to the ball too much and then her pass would be a little bit weak, but looking at obviously the heat map, it just shows that she's all over the gaff. And I think it's the fact of her runs as well. The way she dribbles with the ball and carries the ball is incredible.
Oh yeah, she's very direct, and I think that's bringing out, this system is bringing out the best in her, because when she's out wide in the 4-3-3, often she has to sort of slow and wait for a bit of support from the fullback, just because of the way England like to build up. In this system, I think it gives her that chance to be a bit more direct, just run straight at the defence. And I mean, Greenwood got my player of the match last night, but a lot of my colleagues in the press box were saying they'd have given it to Hempo. It was definitely a best game in the tournament so far, and it just helps. I think it brings out the best in Alessia Russo as well, having someone who can cover a lot of ground and run into the channels as well. Like, I think that frees her up a bit. Sometimes I think she seems a bit isolated up there, and yeah, Lauren was played really well last night. She's also another player, I think, who. She's not totally dependent on goals, but you can see how when she does score,
her confidence just goes through the roof, and she's like she'll be trying things that she wouldn't have tried 10, 15 minutes before scoring. So yeah, she hopefully if her sort of that continues into Wednesday, she can still have a massive role to play in this tournament.
Mm-hmm.
Holly, that must have been absolutely telepathic that you knew I had a heat map waiting there straight away about Lauren Hemp, and then you mentioned that yeah, particularly in the second half, Jack and Holly, she was excellent. And actually, you know what about Lauren Hemp? I will say this: when she went into the Euros, there was a lot of hype around her, rightly so. But I thought she had a tournament for me which showed a different side to her, and I don't think she gets a lot of credit what she does defensively. I thought she was excellent in the second half. Offensively and defensively. She puts a shift in. And I think Jack make a good point. I think this system I think it works better for her. Yes, you can play in the 4-3-3, but yeah, she gives you width and, hugging the touchline. I understand that. But I think this system works better. You actually can work in tandem with Russo. And I love the interview you're right. Just telling her, I just love you so much. it was brilliant. It was on ITV. But yeah, you know what? She's come to the forefront in that game yesterday, and probably a little bit of the game before, where she just worked her socks off. She's been excellent, actually fantastic. There was one player I wanted to mention quickly, as I always like to do. When it comes to Holly quickly, we obviously know how important she is, Kira Walsh. But did you see kind of the subtle differences in that? How she was? I thought she's in the game a bit more better in the second half as the game grew on. I'm gonna get what was your thoughts? I'm gonna get a heat map as you talk. Sorry.
I think, like you said, I think we're starting to learn as a fan base, and I think as an England team, that not everything has to go through her. I think obviously at the start of the tournament, everybody just kind of marked her out of the game. Which meant that we had to find a new way to do things. And I don't want to say, obviously, the injury was a blessing in disguise, because that's a horrendous thing to say. But I think it made us think, right, we need to be a little bit more adaptable, because teams are figuring us out. And I think, obviously, with this touch map, you can see that she's still all over the place. But again, it doesn't always have to go through her. I think the diagonal balls yesterday were exceptional, just another way to mix things up. So I think she got more involved in the second half, like you said. But again, it didn't always have to go through her, which again just opens up space for everybody else to get on the ball too.
No, I've also I want to get a quick thought. It just popped into my head, this question actually. With Rachel Daly, now I know she's could be seen as a utility player, but we now know, to be honest, I'd play her up front. If that's my humble opinion. Yes, she can play at left back or you can play at wing back, but I would personally play her up front. Even in the position, if you look at the tournament, I'd love to know if there was a stat on it. I'm sure most of the chances have fallen to her in the tournament for England. I'm sure they have, because she could easily have 4 or 5 goals in this tournament, easily. So where do you sit? Where would you where would you play her? And 2, how do you feel about her playing where she's now left wing back? Because I said this to Holly on the last show that I like Rachel Daly, but I think sometimes in that position she plays in the last few games, she can take liberties a little bit, and she can lose the ball in very bad areas and put the defense under pressure. What's your thoughts?
It's interesting. I once again I agree with you. If it was down to me, I'd play her as a striker, because I think that's where she plays week in, week out for her club. And I understand the arguments for doing what Serena Wiegman's currently doing. You're sort of getting another very good technical player into the side, which is always helpful. But yeah, for me, I think she's a centre forward, so I'd play her up front. She's just won the WSL Golden Boot with
22 goals,
a ratio of a goal a game, and she can't play up front. It's like, it is incredible, really. And I mean, if it had been me before the first game, I would have had it's a difficult choice between Alessia and Rachel, because Alessia is a fantastic forward as well. I would have picked Rachel Daly and just played a natural left back in that role. And I think against in games where England won't dominate possession as much, and to be fair, we haven't really had a game like that at this tournament so far. But in those games, I do think it will become more of an issue, because she will leave space. It's a difficult job for her if you don't play that regular regularly anymore, even if you've got past experience of playing there. And she fine. She did a fine job in the Euros. But I'm personally not one for this. I can't understand it really. I'm at this point, and she should have scored a few goals. I mean, that's not like what she's. I suppose that's not what your main role is when you're in at wing back. But she could have a couple of chances last night, and I wonder if she's losing that finishing edge or touch because she's not the main number 9. I wonder if that has affected her confidence in front of goal. I don't know, but it's personally, I'm not against it totally. I can see why it works, but if it was up to me and I was the manager, I'd have it in as a forward, particularly as I think England aren't blessed with that many great forwards at the moment either.
No, great point, Honey. Before you come in, question, I want to quickly ask you with Russo. I'm glad she got the goal yesterday, and this is me showing my unbiased side as an Arsenal fan. How do you think she's done this tournament? And for you, who would you put up front? Would it be Dela? Would it be Russo?
It's really difficult because obviously, like I said, her scoring that goal yesterday, again, we've spoken of it, was a little bit of luck. The ball managed to trickle through to her, but it was the finish that I thought was amazing, managing to cut it across the goalkeeper and slotting it in the back of the net. So I think she's played all right. I wouldn't say she's necessarily a confidence player, but I think if she gets that opportunity, she knows 9 times out of 10, she's going to put it in the back of the net. In terms of Rachel Daly, I think you both make great points in the sense that if you're not playing in your natural position week in, week out in this tournament, then you're going to be a little bit off your game. I don't know. It's just very difficult to decide who's going to be playing, especially now that Russo has got that goal. You don't really want to take her out of that striking position in the next game and try Rachel Daly up top because you don't necessarily know if it's going to work this far into the tournament. I would probably just keep things the same. Just because that's the way we have been playing it. And like I say, I think how now Russo's got that goal, she'll go and score another one in the next game, I think. 100%.
Just say as well, Holly, just to add, I think you're totally right in that Serena will do that. I don't think she's going to change it from this point on. I think as soon as the team sheet came out for the second game and she was back there, back in defence, I think that was it. I think from that point on, the mark's been made, and now it's very much just sort of Russo versus Bethany England for the number 9 slot. But the thing is, and one final point on this very quickly, is that I do think there's a difference in attitude about sort of 8 to 9 years ago. The international women's game was a different place, and it wasn't as competitive, and you could get away with playing players out of position, just to have another top player in your team and sort of putting round pegs in square holes. But nowadays, I think we've seen at this tournament, the standard is so high now that the supposedly lower nations are proving so competitive that I'm not sure you can get away with it as much anymore. But having said that, Rachel Daly hasn't. She's still been a very solid performer over the last couple of games. So I should probably stop complaining about it.
No, you make a good point, because me and Holly spoke about this in terms of when you mentioned about the standard of the tournament. I would say from all the women's football I've watched, definitely internationally. Let me keep it internationally, tournament wise. This is by far the best I've seen. I mean, you had 3 African nations make the knockout stage. That's not happened in the men's and the women's first time ever. France, Brazil, Germany, a lot of these guys went home early. Nigeria were brilliant at beating a home nation in their backyard. The standard's been brilliant. For me, the standout game I've seen so far is, for me, still the Colombia-Germany game. I just thought for atmosphere and the way that game went was incredible. That was a goosebumps moment. And I think the standard has been fantastic. So I want to bring it back to England for the last point, but if I can remember the question. So yeah, England, I didn't know this, 5th tournament in a row they've made the semi-finals. That's quite a consistent. They just want to go that one step further in terms of the World Cup. But I think a good thing, Jack, before I come to Ollie for that last question we talk about, is you've got we're gonna have new winners, and we've got 3 European teams left. Obviously Spain and Sweden, the other half, and England, and you've got obviously you've got Australia here as well. So how good is it for the women's game that we're going to get a new winner?
Oh, it's massive for the women's game. I think for a long time it was the sort of America and Canada, so basically North America and sort of like Western, Northern European teams. That's not like that. That was fine for that era, but that isn't really the World Cup. Now this is I feel like the last two tournaments, a little bit in 2019, and even more so here now. This is a proper international tournament, like you say, Albert. I mean, I don't want to just repeat, but some of the teams, the way they've performed, like
excellent.
Nigeria added so much to this tournament. Like even the likes of like Philippines and Haiti, who didn't make it through the group, but Philippines beat the co-hosts New Zealand. That was a massive shock. Haiti gave England more than a run for their money in that first game. Had it not been for a Marriott save, that would have been a draw at the end there. So yeah, it's been huge for the women's game, and I also feel like the four teams that are here, they all deserve to be here for different reasons. And I said coming in, like it's not sort of a guru mystic meg prediction, because all I said coming in when everyone's asking who's going to win the tournament, I said it's very open.
Yeah,
it's very hard to call. Like I wouldn't have laughed at people going for Germany or USA just because they crashed out earlier than expected. I think it was genuinely really open. I think England would have been favourites had they had Beth Mead, Leah Williamson, Fran Kirby here, but because they didn't, and there was a few other, every team sort of had a few issues or players unavailable or something going on in the background. That's what's made it so close. But it's from a neutral point of view, it's brilliant. It's I think it will transform the women's game on an international level, and just hopefully we can have a superb end. I mean, obviously from an England point of view, we want to get through to that final. But I have to say, even if the worst happens and England don't get through that semi-final, it'll be amazing to see Australia, given all they've put into hosting this tournament, seeing them in a World Cup final will be something else as well. So yeah, it's just great. It's just that's a very long answer to say it's perfect for the women's game.
No, I want to get your thoughts on it. No, it's been good. But before I come to Holly quickly, Holly, I don't know I don't know whether it's me. I think I've noticed a difference in terms of England. Whether it's because they've won the Euros, I'm not sure, but definitely with the men's team, where to beat England was massive, and the hostility towards England, I thought. I think it's a little bit come a bit more. If I'm being honest, maybe where it's where the tournament is. They were definitely outnumbered in terms of Nigeria. I mean, yesterday was even more apparent in the stadium. I mean, goodness knows what's going to be like on Wednesday. I mean, gosh, God, dear. I mean, but have you noticed, Holly? I think that there's a bit of a, because it's England, we want to get one over them. I think that's creeped in definitely the women's side of it.
I think so as well. And I think it's like you said, I think because we've obviously won the Euros, we're the team everybody wants to beat in this competition in that kind of sense to kind of knock us off. But I think, like I said, it's really nice that the standard of this World Cup has been incredible. It's probably the best, like I said, best tournament I've seen
100%.
Ever in the women's game. And that's so nice to see that, even like Jack said, that supposedly little teams are coming up in their talent pools as well. But yeah, in respect to your question in terms of the hostility, I think so. I think it's just the England way, isn't it, in any sport at the most. So I think it adds that extra bit of edge, which kind of makes the game more interesting and more exciting. So yeah, bring it on. Who cares?
So, Jack, we're not going to keep you long because this is going to be like fast. So obviously, England have a big semi-final on Wednesday against the host nation. Now, there's something. Now, I know one of my fellow Gooners is Australian. I saw he's watching it, Borgie. There's nothing better than beating the Aussies in their backyard. I've seen it happen in the cricket. I've seen it happen in the women's netball in the Commonwealth Games. Oh, that was beautiful. It's absolutely brilliant.
Sweet.
Yeah, it was. You know what? Coming into this semi-final, I'm going to be honest. And I don't know too many Australians, so I think I can get away with saying this, but I think England have got a very good chance. And that sounds like a very simplistic thing to say, but I get it. Australia will probably looked at as sort of an outsider to win this, and obviously home advantage. But having saw the way Nigeria dealt with them, and I know it's 2-3 games ago, but I hope England can take a bit of a blueprint how to beat these guys. And I think they don't want to repeat a losing that friend they had when Australia came over to England and turned them over and kind of gave them a bit of a masterclass now to stop England playing. But I'll leave Holly till last. So, Jack, coming to you. Yeah, what's your sort of thoughts and feelings about that game? It's going to be huge. I think audience-wise, I don't know what it's going to be. The capacity today is going to be electric. But how's your thoughts about England winning this game?
I'm more confident about this game from an England point of view than I was about the Colombia game.
I am,
which seems strange, but it's like Yeah, I just think it suits this England team to be not. They're not the underdogs in terms of ability, but I think they'll relish it going into that stadium. Like it's that stadium I was in last night. It's huge. It's 83,000 odd capacity. It will be majority Aussies. They loved it. It'll throw them back to Sydney Olympics and Rugby World Cup final. It'll throw back to all that. They'll have a big atmosphere. I hope it is a little bit hostile in some ways for England, because I think that brought the best out of a few players last night. So they'll relish it. They'll love it. This is why they've come out here, and it's what this tournament's all about. I think as well, Australia, their whole tournament narrative has kind of been decided by if Sam Kerr's fit or not. And she is sort of seemingly getting back to playing more minutes, but I don't think she can naturally be at 100% sharpness. So, and without her, I think they do look a little bit more one-dimensional. They did turn England over in April. You're right. I mean, I think like the international friendly, there's always how much can you take from them? I guess is what I always think with them. But they did on the night. They were far the better side. I just think England have got the better defence, more match winners on the pitch, particularly if Kerr still starts on the bench again. And I think, it'll suit the England side being the away team for once and getting that sort of a different challenge for them after being the home side throughout last summer. And it's just whether they can deal with that atmosphere, that hostility. But they dealt with it fine last night. Like you say, the Colombia fans are pretty noisy as well. And
very noisy.
It's an obvious thing to say, but I've never seen a supporter score a goal. So that's all you've got to remember if you're going out and facing 80,000 people baying for you. It's like, I'm sure England will be able to deal with that, and hopefully get all the way to the final.
Yeah, good shout. Before I come to my amazing co-host to finish up, people, if you don't know what to do by now, this is what you should do. And there you have it, people. Surround little intro to subscribe to not only Albert JTV, but to Holly's Hotspurs channel as well. See, putting Arsenal and Tottenham together, which will never happen in 100 million years of existence of football. But just for this podcast purposes and intros and subscribe to channels, people, you can do it. So smash a like on Albert JTV and Holly's Hotspurs. So Holly, the floor is yours. So big game Wednesday. Another game I'm going to miss, unfortunately. I was hoping it'd be the first semi-final because I could have probably, done it, got to work and still, but it's not going to happen, unfortunately for me. But how are you feeling? Like Jack has mentioned, the atmosphere is going to be insane. And I think these ladies are used to playing in big environments now, in major tournaments, in hostility and the rest of it. So England will be relishing this. Like Lauren Hemp said, bring it on.
Definitely 100% bring it on, and I think, like Jack said, it's going to be something new, but we managed to be able to do that against Colombia. And yes, it's going to be a lot worse in terms of what the home support is, but it is what it is. I think if we can mentally break through that game, we'll be fine, because all over the pitch we've got superstars. And I think also the biggest thing that's the difference from that game is the fact that we played before in the preseason friendlies, is the fact that we've adapted our style of play, I think, throughout this tournament. Exactly. And I think that will mean that they've got to overanalyze how we play. So it's going to be like, how are we going to set up like this? Are we going to play like this? So I think that's another battle that I think Australia are going to have to try and understand, as well as the talent we have on the pitch. So I'm really looking forward to it. And like you guys, I'm more confident for this one than I am the previous last two games. So we'll see how it goes.
No, great stuff. Great shot. I mean, if England can obviously get through on Wednesday, who would I potentially like in the final? I thought about this actually quite a bit. I love Aitana Bonmati from Spain. It's just a dream to watch. But then you've got the Scandinavian, Sweden, just tough to beat. And Amanda Ilsted's got 4 goals for at the back of the tournament. It's crazy. But before I get that in there, Arsenal ladies. But it's bring it on Wednesday. Honestly, I generally think that it's not an overconfidence thing. I do think England. I think England can turn them over. I do. I think Jack mentioned it. I think there's 2. England have got a lot of match winners in that side. Lauren Hemp's coming good at the right time. So Scott Borg, if you're watching, mate, we're coming for you, mate. We're coming for you. But Jack, well, I want to thank you for coming on again, man. You're just first class, man. Holly obviously introduced me to you, but Jack, tell the people where they can find you before you go to bed and have a rest.
Thank you so much, mate. Yeah, I'll either I've got bed or either I'm going to try and stay up for the Sunday Premier League games back home. One of the two. Yeah, you can find me at Jack Lacey Sport on Twitter, and yeah, stick with me if you enjoy women's football coverage beyond the World Cup for new WSL seasons in a couple of months, not far now. So yeah, that's where to find me. Thank you both as well for having me on again. So nice to see you both. And surely, if all three of us are confident for Wednesday, right, then no problem.
Where's the wood? Hold on. Could you hear that, people? They have to touch wood. Now, Jack, great to get you on, man. Appreciate it, particularly as you're down in the ground in Australia. But and of course, last but not least, my amazing co-host. Whatever happens on Wednesday, we will have a show on the Thursday. Hopefully, we'll have another show after the Thursday as well, and a celebration party as well. But yeah, Holly, great show again. Thank you again, you amazing co-host. Yes, where can the people find you as always?
Just at Holly Agambar. Like I say this every time. These shows, I don't really do a lot of the pre-work. That is all Albert, so I can't take any credit for that. I just managed to rock up just before we go live. So all of the hard work goes to Albert. It's not me, man. But
no,
how are you,
team
Albert?
effort. It's a team effort. Holly.
It is a team effort, but you put 110 in and I put that 5 in. So.
Well, I tried to save you. I mean, if you want to go do it live, it's fine. But it's fine. It's all right. But I love you to pieces, and I love collabing with you. It just works. Domestically and internationally, it just works. I don't know how it works, but it does. But people, like I said, smash a like for my channel and Holly's channel. I will put this out on the audio, so you'll get to hear everybody's dulcet tones as normal. But yeah, here we go. Wednesday, big game semi-final in Australia's backyard. Hopefully, England can turn them over. But people, that's Albert JTV and Holly's Hotspurs over and out for FIFA Women's World Cup. Come on, you Lionesses.